Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to season number 11 of the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. Tonight, we are heading a bit ways up north to Oxford, Maine for a track that has only seen racing here in the ASRC Oval Series one other time aside from tonight, and that was almost a year ago, actually a little bit over a year ago, back in season number 7. We are, of course, up here at the Oxford Plains Speedway, only 0.37 miles in length or zero point 0.6 kilometers length. And I'll tell you what, race fans, this track, with the way it's built, with how wide it is, and with a distinct lack of outer walls as you can see around the speedway, we are pretty much going to be making one continuous turn here tonight. This track may as well just be a complete circle here. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a challenge that these late model drivers are not quite used to facing here this evening. That said though, currently everyone's starting to make their way on down to the starting grid, so how about we take a look at how this 9-car field is going to be shaking out here this evening. Starting out on the pole in the number 45 Dropping Bombs Racing entry, making his first start of the season here in season number 11, but he is certainly a driver that is no stranger to the ASRC Oval Series as a whole. That's going to be the 45 of Mr. Mike Sukup. Starting his outside in the number 17 machine, would you believe that's another Dropping Bombs Racing driver starting off position number 2. That's going to be the driver out of Chenhan, Illinois. That's going to be Steven Rex. Starting back in position number 3, making it a clean sweep here in qualifying for the Dropping Bombs Racing team. It is the driver currently leading the championship standings coming into tonight's event, the driver out of Chesterfield, Virginia. That's going to be the Dropping Bombs Racing number 99 of Tyler McRae. Starting back in position number 4 in the number 85 Makoni Setup Shop entry, 4-time champion here in the ASRC Oval Series, Mr. Brian Sabelski, currently coming into tonight's event second in the championship standings. It's all going to come down to how tonight and next week go for these drivers starting in 3rd and 4th position here this evening to determine our champion for season number 11. Round out the top 5 here in the SM Racing ASRC number 93. That is going to be last week's winner back at the Thompson Speedway. That's going to be Mr. Jason Gardner, rolling it off position number 5. Rolling off in P number 6, that is going to be the number 62. That is Miss T.J. Henson rolling off in Bobby McCarty's Real Life Race Cars Racing entry. She's going to be starting off in position number 6. Back in 7th, rocking an unsponsored paints team here this evening. That's going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy, followed by the Advanced Auto Parts number 2 of Patrick Dixon, back in position number 8. Then finally round out this 9-car field. That is going to be the Dirt TV number 27, the driver out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Mr. Johnny Bell is going to be rolling off position number 9. That said, though, pace cars already retreating down to the safety of pit lane. We are going green flag racing here, just like that, already rolling as we dive it down into turn number 1. Starting to get things sorted out up in the front, but 2 by 2 a little bit further back in the back. Jason Gardner battling it out with that 85 of Ryan Sabelski. As we cross the line, Mike Sukup is going to be the race leader for lap number 1 here. Everyone has their late models pointed in the right direction so far this evening, but we're going to have to see if that continues to stay this way for the duration of tonight's event. You can see that raised curbing along pit exit and pit entrance. That will severely throw off your steering. These late models not quite low enough to the ground to get damaged from these curbs, but if you get your tires on them, they definitely are going to throw you off your game. Up in the front, everyone's mostly started to single file out. Right now, everyone's all bunched up in the middle of the pack here. TJ Henson, Brian Sabelski, Derek Murphy all battling it out here, and Tyler McRae, back in the number 99, had to get an EOL penalty to start off tonight's race, so he had to drop back to the tail end of the field, past Johnny Bell, past Patrick Dixon, now running back in 7th in that all-red number 99. The first time we've seen him out here in a chrome livery here tonight. Maybe just to give the rest of the drivers around the field a little bit of warning that he is going to be starting at the tail end of the field instead of the front. Make sure that he knows he is coming, because he is an incredibly fast late model driver here in the series, and he knows that he may have started with a penalty, but he's probably going to be finding himself up inside the top 5 probably in the next 20 to 30 laps if I had to wager a guess here. Further up in the field, Brian Sabelski trying to figure out how to get around that number 93 of Jason Gardner. It looked like he was close enough to make the move about a lap ago, but backed out of the pass, wasn't quite thinking to make it happen. Now he's falling back just a little bit. That 62 of TJ Henson right behind them, looking at our intervals here for these drivers from 2nd on back to 6th. Everyone is pretty dang close to each other. TJ Henson's going to drift up high, see if she can't make anything happen here. And Tom Cray giving a little bit of the bumper to Derek Murphy back there at the tail end of this pack. See if we can't take a little bit closer look down there. Tom Cray last time by a little bit of a nudge to the rear quarter panel of the 78. This track, when it's all just one long continuous turn, they pretty much never turn the steering wheel straight, and that makes it a bit more difficult to pass than it would be on some of these other tracks, where you can sort of make something happen on corner entry and quarter exit here, but technically here you're just never really exiting the corner. But McRae's trying to make the outside line work. He's actually seeing if he can't get around the 78 on the outside. They make a little bit of contact as the 78 drifts up just a little bit, but he managed to pull it along side by side. Not quite able to make the pass happen, but he is still committed to the outside line here. He's trying to make it happen. He's around him now. They make contact again. 78 of Murphy almost down onto the curbing there, but Tyler McRae clears him. Now the battle is going to be for 5th position. 15 laps in here just like that. We are only 3 minutes into this race. There's 15 laps. And let's just go to show how fast these drivers are able to click off laps at this 0.37-mile speedway. And right now, closest battle on the speedway is the battle between McRae and TJ Henson. Henson currently 4th in the championship standings behind Jason Gardner, 164 points to 126 points. That's going to be a very difficult gap for the driver of the number 62 machine to close, and she has come very close to winning a couple of races here this season, but just wasn't quite able to string any of them together. And honestly, that's the same story we could say for Jason Gardner, who's currently running up in the 3rd position right now. But of course, Jason finally managed to break that streak of coming up just a little bit short. He took home the win last week at the Thompson Speedway Motorsports Park right in front of Brian Sabelski. Now those two drivers find themselves battling out once again up in 3rd and 4th position. They've got a bit more breathing room to work with right now, though. Because right now, all of the pressure is for this battle for 3rd. Between Sabelski, Henson, and McRae. Gardner has a little bit of room to work with here, but not all of that much. Times are still incredibly close between all of these drivers. Right now, all these drivers setting lap times roughly in the 15.5 to 15.6 range. Mike Sukup currently has set the fastest lap on the speedway, and he set that right at the start. A 15.19 is our fastest lap so far tonight, but that just goes to show how quickly these drivers can click off laps. Back in season 7, when we ran here at this track in the old Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS Streets late model. Oh, TJ Henson on the curve a little bit. That race lasted only 33 minutes, and I'm pretty sure that was with a caution. So these drivers really need to play tonight smart, because they're not going to have a whole lot of actual time to make things happen here this evening. And of course, this is round 11. This is only a 12 race season. So next week, it's all going to come down to how these drivers duke it out at the Five Flag Speedway. So tonight would be an excellent opportunity to get those last couple of points you need before heading into the championship event next week. And then after that, the details are not 100% confirmed. There's a little bit of a bump between McRae and Henson there. The details are not 100% confirmed, but rumor has it next season we may be taking a break from late model stock competition and moving over to the Arca Menards Chevrolet Impala. And of course, more details will be released on that as we get closer to season number 12 of the ASRC Oval Series, but these drivers really need to make these last two races count because they could be finding themselves entering an entirely different style of competition for season number 12 in just a couple of weeks. That said, though, currently looking at the battle for fourth position, still Gardner has managed to pull away from Sabelski, so now it's all this battle for fourth. Sabelski, Henson, and McRae all call it about 2 to 3 tenths of a second between each other. McRae in that bright red 99 started at the tail end of the field. He is getting his way on up there here. Just has to figure out how to get around two drivers that have been giving him trouble all season, quite honestly. Sabelski and Henson both have managed to put up really solid fights to McRae's general dominance that we have seen in the last couple of seasons. And this might be where we see a little bit of love tap coming in there. Another nudge to the back of the 62. Henson runs up high. Not enough for McRae to get in. She manages to close the door back down, going down into turns 3 and 4 here. But that gap is only narrowing here in this battle for the fourth position. Everyone else more or less spread out around the field. Behind them, Murphy and Dixon are both kind of by themselves. Up and running, Sadowski's a little bit, Gardner's pretty much by himself. Rex a little bit by himself as well. And then Sukup has completely clocked out here. Sukup has a 3.2 second lead right now. And he has led every single lap since this thing started tonight. Sukup tied Tyler McRae for wins just a couple seasons ago, and more contact between McRae and Henson. Henson's going to get sideways. She manages to keep it pointed in the right direction, but that is going to bump her back to the 5th position. That has ruined all the momentum she had going, and Derek Murphy now might be able to find himself closing in on that number 62 machine here in just a minute. Murphy coming in tonight with an unsponsored purple and white number 78. Honestly, a pretty dang good looking race car. Coming into tonight's event, Derek Murphy is being stored back into the 7th position in the championship standings, right in front of Andrew Ivester by only 2 points, and just behind Nico Morelli and Johnny Bell, who have 88 and 82 points. So Murphy not really in a position where he could try to take home a championship or anything of that sort, but he could potentially find himself walking away with a top 5 here in season number 11. Of course, the big question is how these final 2 races play out for all these late model series drivers. The driver that's not quite having a fun time right now, that's going to be the number 27 of Johnny Bell. Last time by 2 seconds off the pace, which is really unusual for the driver of that number 27 machine, so I'd imagine that he is trying to cook up some sort of real unorthodox tire or fuel strategy here. It's something we've always seen out of that number 27 machine. He always seems to figure out a way to come back from the clutches of defeat. We have seen this driver walk away with multiple podiums just on pit strategy. And tonight, who knows, we could see things play out in the favor of this number 27 machine. He's looking a little bit off the pace right now, but it's entirely possible he's got something cooking up under the hood of that number 27 machine. Just a matter of playing the waiting game and seeing how it plays out for him. But right behind him is that battle between Sabelski and McRae, battling it out for the 4th position here. They are nose to tail. McRae is really just trying to be the hard charger here this evening. He is the championship points leader, so he doesn't have too much to worry about there, but he is leading by only 15 points. That is a gap that Cebulski could potentially make back up from him. Of course, 2 races left to go. Currently only 1 position on the speedway dividing these 2 drivers. 1 position is not going to be enough to cut it to get Cebulski back up at the front of this championship. Right now, all that matters is the here and now on the speedway for these drivers. I don't think a lot of them are thinking about next week right here in this very moment. Right now, all Cebulski is thinking about is trying to hold on to 4th place and keep that number 99 machine of Tyler McRae behind him. And of course, that is always easier said than done. McRae getting a little bit onto that curbing there. Let's actually take a ride on board with the number 99 machine, take a look down at what these drivers are seeing down on the speedway here at Oxford Plains. Riding on board with the number 99, the driver out of Chesterfield, Virginia, right behind the 85 of Ryan Cebulski, giving him a little bit of a nudge here. But even on the straightaways, these drivers still have their steering wheels turned. And there's the nudge to the back of the number 85. The Cebulski goes around. Caution flag is out on the speedway just like that. We have drivers all over the racetrack right now. And Brian Cebulski is down in the infield grass right now in the number 85. And it looks like Patrick Dixon also went off the speedway, as well as Tyler McRae. Is everyone behind just kind of swerved to avoid that incident. We have several drivers coming down pit lane now, including Jason Gardner, Steven Rex, Mike Sukup. So it's very interesting to see all of these drivers coming down pit lane, because as far as I was aware, these drivers should have had enough fuel to make it to the end. So I guess everyone's trying to make a tire play under the caution here. As everyone comes back out on speedway, let's see if we can't take a look back and see a better angle of our first caution flag here on lap number 50. Then you look down, Tyler McRae right behind the number 85 of Brian Cebulski. Nose to tail coming out of 4, going down into 1. Cebulski gets a little bit of run. No, McRae gets a little bit of a run. The nose just gets right up, hooked underneath that number 85, and with how the noses on these late models are shaped, it's kind of hard to stop it once you make contact. It lifts the rear tires off the ground, and from there it's just kind of everything all falls apart. But you can see that Advanced Auto Parts number 2 swerves out of the way down into the, I guess, outfield grass would be the term we're looking for here. He actually scrapes against the outer retaining wall way outside in the edge of the track here. Well, in a way, it sort of works out, because that is not a move that you would be able to pull on a traditional speedway where we have outer walls around the edge of the track. Patrick Dixon seems to collide into a little bit of a force field there. Not too sure about that one in the Advanced Auto Parts number 2. It doesn't look like he's picked up any damage, at least. That said, he is down on pit lane right now and has been down there for a minute and a half. Here he is coming back out on the speedway, but that will put him, looks like 3, potentially even 4 laps. Sure enough, 4 laps down for the Advanced Auto Parts number 2. So perhaps that force field was a little bit stronger than we gave it credit for. That said, green flag's back up in the air. We are going racing once again. Mike Sukup, Steven Rex, Jason Gardner, your top 3. Jason Gardner's down on the inside trying to make the pass on Steven Rex in the 17. He is stuck up high in that drop from bombs racing number 17. Right behind him, Tyler McRae and TJ Henson are duking it out. TJ Henson's falling back a little bit, but now Tyler McRae gets a front row seat to the battle between last week's winner and his teammate in that white, black, and red number 17. Jason Gardner now in a little bit of an uncomfortable situation. He's got a Dropping Bombs Racing driver behind him, a Dropping Bombs Racing driver beside him, and a Dropping Bombs Racing driver right in front of him. Stuck in a little bit of a sandwich of teammates here, and he doesn't have much choice but just try and hug it down to that inside line and hope that he doesn't have everything fall apart on him here. But right now, everyone's keeping their cars pointed in the right direction. They're real close between that 17 and that 93, though. Steven Rex really not wanting to be up on that high line right now, so he's just pinching down as low as he can in the corners, try and keep some sort of momentum going here. But then he pushes out wide, coming down the straightaways, if you can even call them straightaways. Trying to make something happen out here to try and stop that freight train of happening, but not quite able to. And of course, that number 99, Tyler McRae, he is the championship leader. He is trying to take home a champion next week at Five Flag Speedway. He is not going to team orders and let Steven Rex just come back down on the low line. No siree. Steven Rex still stuck up high, and now TJ Henson's going to get her nose up under his quarter panel. Now he's stuck up high for the number 62 as well. And just like that, on that restart, Steven Rex started back up in second. Now he finds himself losing the position for fifth. Not quite the restart that number 17 wanted, but sure enough, that is how things are going to play out here on this restart. These two drivers currently are the closest battle on the speedway, but Tyler McRae is starting to close the gap on Jason Gardner as well in that number 93 machine. TJ Henson also is actually catching up to McRae here. Despite the trouble we saw her have earlier on in the race, she seems to be running pretty darn good now. Of course, I say that and she gets a little bit of a scrape up against the curbing there. Still keeping that car pointed in the right direction, but that has gotten Steven Rex right up on her back bumper once again. Now pretty much divided into two small battles here, all for positions up in the top five. Behind them, Derek Murphy about 3 seconds back from the rest of the field. Then Brian Sadowski another second and a half back. Johnny Bell 2 seconds back in that number 27, though he is back on the lead lap here. 68 laps in the books, going to be 31 to go next time by. And again, we're not even 20 minutes into this race. And oh, TJ Henson's going to go around. TJ Henson is backwards on the speedway. Caution flag flies for the second time here this evening. And oh, Patrick Dixon almost gets collected. And Patrick Dixon actually goes off the speedway once again in the Advanced Auto Parts number 2. This time, not quite going into a force field. That does look like a real physical wall down there this time. Not the evening that number 2 of Dixon wants to be having here tonight. I said, let's take a look back and see how things played out here. But actually, before we do, let's take a look at our two remaining drivers. Brian Zabelski and Johnny Bell, the only two drivers on the speedway that have not come down pit lane. They are both going to make the call as well. So maybe the info we got from the garage is wrong and these drivers actually don't have fuel to make it to the end, because I am really surprised to be seeing everyone pitting here this evening. Regardless, take a look back here, take another look at this incident between TJ Henson and Steven Rex here. Rex in that 17 right behind the 62, and it looks like just a little bit of a repeat between the incident between Tyler McRae and Brian Zabelski earlier, but then Henson tries to get it turned around, and Patrick Dixon swerves to take evasive action and finds himself smacking down into the inside wall. You can hear it down off the camera there. Let's take a look back here, see what happened for Patrick Dixon. He swerves to avoid, tries to get on the brakes, and then ends up in the gravel. And once you're in there, it doesn't quite matter how hard you're braking, you're not going to get that late model to stop. Let's take one more look back at this from Patrick Dixon's perspective here as he goes down into that incident. If we can get his onboard camera here, there we go. Riding on board with the number 2, and it looks like we might have jumped a little bit too far back in time. Sure enough, we did There we go. That's what we were looking for. Taking a look at Patrick Dixon's view down into this incident. And actually, no, it looks like we actually did get the right view of this. Sure enough, Patrick Dixon swerves to avoid the 62 and just ends up in not a great place to be. That said, though, lights are off on the iRacing.com pace car. We are getting ready to go. Green flag racing once again. Mike Sukup, Jason Gardner, your front row. That's going to be Tyler McRae and Derek Murphy, row number 2. Green flag up in the air once again. Let's see what these drivers can do with 26 laps left to go here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Once again, we find row 1 single filing it out just a little bit, but the battle is happening back for row number 2. Jason Gardner, the only driver left, stuck up on the high line trying to get around that number 17. Brian Zabelski is going to try and capitalize on him being stuck up there. Finds himself moving up to the 4th position. Once again, despite being in that incident early on, Zabelski now finds himself in position to potentially lead tonight's event with a podium finish. Also, Mike Sukup, once again, just set the fastest lap of the race, matching his fastest lap back at the very start with a 15.18. Now Brian Zabelski is going to match that lap as well, 15.18 for Brian Zabelski, fastest personal lap. And it is being marked as the fastest lap of the race, so it's technically a little bit faster than the lap Sukup set by a couple of milliseconds, though my time this morning actually does not go out the small enough numbers to see what the difference was. Brian Zabelski's got some speed to work with, but he has 2 very fast drivers up in front of him, and not only does he have 2 very fast drivers up in front of him, but the 3 cars up in front of him are all teammates. Sukup, McRae, and Rex all competing for the Dropping Bombs racing team. And it's going to be very difficult to get around these 3 drivers, especially if they work together at all. Of course, Sukup's here in his first race of season number 11. I imagine Sukup is going to try his best to go for this win, especially since he knows that his teammate of McRae is the championship leader, and that one single finishing position isn't going to matter too super much. I'd imagine he's not going to play nice with that number 99. Of course, a couple of seasons ago, we've also seen a little bit of a similar situation to this, where we had all 3 Dropping Bombs racing drivers positions 1, 2, and 3, and Sukup and McRae actually took each other out for the lead of the race, and Steven Rex walked away with, I believe, what was his first win of his ASRC Oval Series career. Now we find ourselves with 16 laps left to go. Most of the field is starting to get strung out now. Everyone has more than a 1 second gap between themselves, except for your 4 drivers in the top 4. Your 3 Dropping Bombs racing drivers and the Marconi Setup Shop driver of Brian Zabelski at the tail end of this battle for the podium. 15 laps left to go here, 14 as we cross the line, and mind you, we're still setting 15-second laps. So these 14 laps are going to click by a lot faster than some of these drivers are going to be able to expect. That's going to go by as fast as these drivers can blink. Alright, like that, 13 to go as we cross the line once again. Right now, everyone has no choice to be a little bit patient. Try and find an opportunity to capitalize on a mistake as they cross the lines. Lap times last time by: Sukup 15.43, McRae 15.37, Rex 15.42, Zabelski 15.45. So everyone in these top 4 incredibly equally matched on lap times here. As we get an update once again, this time even closer, only 0.02 of a second separating the lap times of your top 4 drivers here. Steven Rex coming a little bit wide, going out of 2 there, and wide again coming out of 4. He's trying to switch that line up, see if he can't find any sort of advantage here to catch back up to his 2 teammates as they start to battle it out for the lead of the race. 10 laps to go here. McRae found himself starting at the tail end of the field. Almost caught up to his teammate of Sukup there, but got loose coming out of 4. Had to get that car back under control beneath him, and that cost him a little bit of time. But it is still anyone's game here in the top 4 with 8 laps left to go here at the Oxford Plains Speedway. Anyone's game left to go here, and still the gaps are small between these 4 drivers and getting smaller with each and every lap. McRae right up on the bumper of Sukup. He looks primed to be in position to try and make the pass. He just needs to make that 45 have a little bit of a mistake. And they're now nose to tail, a little bit of a nudge there between McRae and Sukup. Not quite going to be enough to get him out the way. With 6 laps left to go, going to be big high five up in the air when we cross the line this time by. McRae's only going to have maybe one more opportunity to do that, and he has his teammate behind him of Rex and Brian Sabelski to worry about as well. Both of them could do that little bit of a nudge to the bumper just as much as he can do it to our race leader, Mike Sukup. 4 laps left to go here. 4 more times around the Oxford Plains Speedway. Once we cross the line, on to 3 to go. Not even a mile of racing left. It's all going to come down to these next 45 seconds as Tyler McRae makes the dive down below Mike Sukup. Sukup has led every lap of this race, but he's going to push Sukup high. McRae is our new race leader with 3 laps left to go, and they make contact. Both managed to keep it pointed in the right direction, but contact between Sukup and Rex. 2 laps left to go here around the Oxford Plains Speedway, and still they are trying to make moves on each other. Sukup way high, going down into 3 and 4. White flag up in the air. They make contact again. One more time around the speedway. Tyler McRae has plenty of room to work with. The battles now is going to be determining who finishes in second. Brian Sabelski's in there as well now, battling it out with Sukup and Rex crossing the line. It's going to be McRae, Rex, Sukup, Sabelski, and Gardner, your top 5. So it's going to be a clean sweep of the podium for your top 3 Droppin' Bombs racing drivers here tonight. DBR making it happen here this evening. Tyler McRae picking up his 7th win of the season out of 12 races. If nothing else, he has just further solidified his lead in the championship standings. And I haven't seen the math here, race fans. We're going to need some folks to crunch the numbers. But McRae might have just won the championship on that. And McRae is actually kind of working on leaving the speedway here. And he's going to call the tow truck to get taken back to pit lane. What a finish to that event. That said, race fans, don't go anywhere. We will be back here in just a second with some words with your top 3 finishers. Alrighty, race fans, welcome back to the Oxford Plains Speedway. Welcome back to the Attrition Sim Race Campus Oval Series presented by SM Racing Products. One heck of a race in the books here this evening, and a clean sweep for the Droppin' Bombs racing team. Starting off with the driver who led almost every lap of this race, but just a little bit short at the final couple of laps here. Mr. Mike Sukup, first start of the season. How are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, that's always a great thing to hear. Did you have any idea coming into tonight's event that you were going to perform so well after not competing here in the league in almost 3 months?
No, not really. Thought I was going to struggle quite a bit. It's not one of my favorite tracks.
Fair enough. Either way, you still managed to walk away with a podium, but is there anything you think you might have been able to do different to walk away with a win here this evening?
Just ran out of talent.
Fair enough. I certainly know all about that happening on my end, but still one heck of a run here tonight, and definitely great to see it out here in the league once again. The microphone's all yours, Mr. Sukup, though. Who do you want to thank for making everything happen tonight?
Same as always. The league is always a good time. I haven't been able to make it out, I guess. But DBR riding dirty. Those guys make it a lot of fun. We just laugh at each other and try to hit each other.
Fair enough. Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out. Congratulations on the podium here this evening, and hopefully we'll see you next week at the Five Flags Speedway.
Thank you. Appreciate what you do, man.
And finishing back in position number 2, Mr. Steven Rex. You've had highs, you've had lows tonight, but you're walking away with a podium finish this evening. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'll take it. I I thought I was going to try to save on fuel at the beginning. It looked like we were only a couple laps short. I would have loved for it to go green and see where Mike was going to end up on fuel because he was pushing pretty hard. I couldn't run with him, or at least not the way I was running. But he slowed down there at the end, and Tyler got around me, and man, I thought I was going to have a shot at the end once some guys went side by side, but I was trying to keep Brian in my mirror and not lose that spot. I would have loved to kind of sweep up high and come out low, but I just couldn't do it, and I burned the tires up a little bit.
Yeah, still one heck of a run either way, just a little bit shy of a win. Coming into the night's event, you were 16th back in the championship standing, so finishing up here, I think will propel you. It might even all the way go up to the top 10, just because a lot of drivers haven't been able to compete full time, so you still got that going for you tonight.
Yeah, that's good. I guess, a limited participation driver, but it's still fun to come out. I know Jason puts this together. You do the broadcasting. Yeah, it's a good time. Love running with the DBR riding dirty guys, and we like to trade paint a lot, so it can get very exciting up front and all in fun. It was a good race tonight.
Yeah, definitely a heck of a run, and then one more week of season number 11. Do you think next week at Five Flag Speedway there's a track where you could have another finish like this?
Oh, absolutely. I like that track. I think everybody's good at that track. It's very easy and forgiving.
Fair enough. Well, sounds like it'll be one heck of a show one way or another. For now though, the microphone's all yours, Mr. Rex. Who you want to thank for making everything happen?
Yeah, everybody that puts on the show to get it broadcasted here, and the race itself, and not just the DBR riding dirty guys, but everybody else that comes out and joins us. Good group of guys to race with week in and week out.
Good deal. Well, congratulations on the podium, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Five Flags.
All right, take care.
And finally, the driver who inadvertently did the last to first challenge here this evening, Mr. Tyler McRae, walking away with win number 7 of the season. How are you feeling here tonight?
Amazed. I didn't think that was going to happen. I just kept chugging along, and it kept coming to me. I did get into some trouble a couple of races ago after the race, and part of my punishment, I'm on probation and 2 EOLs for the next 2 races. So that's it wasn't a choice to go to rear. I understand why the admins did that, and I accepted it. Um, and apologized for doing it and told him I'd be on my best behavior. And then secondly, I did get in the back of Brian. It was a square hit. I don't know if his tires were older or he was just trying to stay on the very bottom in the straightaways and the corners. I was even dragging brake a couple times to stay off him. And I was trying so hard to get by him. I wish I could little more room. But he came on back. He got lucky and caught the caution just in time, put on new tires, and popped back up there. But Mike, because I even was yelling at him, "What are you doing?" His steering wheel came off his desk, and steering wheel was in his lap while he was driving. That's how I caught him because he's so dominant. I mean, and every race he shows up to, he's the fastest car here. Every time he shows up, so he's very humble in how he says that. But yeah, I think his wife won't let him put a screw through the table or something to save him some races.
Fair enough. Well, generally I advise not having your steering wheel come off the car, but I know that's something you can't always avoid. One heck of a race one way or another here tonight, and an amazing show put on by all the Dropping Bombs racing drivers. And of course, next week, I don't know the math exactly. I think you might actually be the champion just off of tonight's finish. Don't tell anyone that. But next week, Five Flags Speedway. You think that's a track where you can pick up win number 8?
I'm usually pretty good everywhere we go, but it's you can see the competition. I mean, Jason's up there, Brian's up there, TJ's up there, and you always got the I mean, of course, then you got Mike and Steve showing up. You know, you got to battle with them every lap too. So it's gonna be tough. I didn't see me winning tonight, honestly. I thought I was gonna finish about third or fourth. It just kind of came around, but I think it'll be a fun time. It's a fun track. We'll be battling at it again, no matter what the points are for the next week.
Good deal. I mean, after all, I reckon having fun is half the battle. But for now, I'll let you go ahead and start getting ready for the championship event next week. The microphone's all yours, Mr. McCrae. Who you want to thank for making everything happen here tonight?
Oh, definitely ASRC. You know, they're fair. You get in trouble, they'll call you out for it, and you kind of move on and you do good things. And they put on some fun races with some of the guys. I know I see some just barely didn't make it tonight, but with some of the guys that come back, I hear it's a different car for next year, so that sounds fun. Definitely, you know, S&M products and your broadcasts. It's a lot of fun. You said you're almost out of breath. I was almost out of breath too. And dropping bombs, guys, like Mike said, and I say every week, we just have a ball. If they're in my race or not, we're on Discord together, just having a good time. And in the end, that's what we're here for, is to have fun and be competitive.
Good deal. Well, thank you for coming out here tonight. Congratulations on win number 7. And I look forward to seeing y'all next week at the Five Flags Speedway.
I appreciate you. I'll see you then.
You're here first, race fans. Your top 3 finishers here tonight: Tyler McCrae, Steven Rex, Mike Sukup. Then there's plenty of other drivers here in this field, so how about we take a quick look down at our overall unofficial race results. Finishing back in position number 3 is going to be that 85 of Mr. Brian Sabelski, followed by the number 93 of Jason Gardner, rounding out the top 5. Back in position number 6, that's going to be the 78 of Derek Murphy, followed by the Dirt TV 27 of Johnny Bell. DJ Henson back in position number 8, and Patrick Dixon in the number 9, going to be rounding out this 9-car field here tonight for the Oxford Plains Speedway. Next week, we will be crowning a champion at the Five Flags Speedway. Bound to be one heck of a race. And of course, same day, same time, Monday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. But for now, that's all we've got here from Oxford, Maine. Thank you all for tuning in, supporting the broadcast, supporting the league. And we all look forward to seeing y'all next week for the championship. Thank you for coming out, and have a good evening, race fans.